At 6, as kids return to school, Peoria Public School is being recognized statewide, but not for the right reasons.
An Illinois data nonprofit says more attention needs to be paid to PPS's high school students' low reading and math comprehension. Our Shab Domnez joins us live in studio now to break down these numbers. Shab.
At Durante, Rebecca, there's a lot of numbers to sift through here, but the major takeaway is that the Peoria Public Schools are underperforming based on these metrics alone. However, Peoria Public Schools is pushing back, saying there's a lot more that goes into education than numbers.
I think what really matters is that if the state is going to set standards, then we should meet those standards.
Illinois data nonprofit Wirepoints blasting Peoria Public Schools students' low math and reading SAT scores and calling for action.
Well, I think what's missing are some very serious goals to get that education level up. The first thing I think that needs to happen is we need to acknowledge the problem, because we can't fix the problem if we don't acknowledge it.
According to Illinois State Board of Education's report card, 13% of PPS high school students could read at grade level in 2022, compared with a state average of 30%. And 10% of high school students are proficient in math, compared to 26% statewide.
The results are dismal. Most kids, almost all of them, can't read at grade level or do math at grade level. So we have to have a higher standard. We shouldn't have low expectations of those children. We should have really high expectations and act accordingly.
Broken down further, 5% of black students, 13% of Hispanic students, and 37% of white students could read at grade level. For math, those numbers are 2% of black students, 10% of Hispanic students, and 29% of white students. Wirepoints President Ted Dabrowski says the reading and math comprehension levels don't match up with graduation rates.
One of the big problems is only 13% of the kids can read at grade level in the entire district, and yet 80% graduate. And so there's a big disconnect between their ability to read and do math and the graduation levels.
In response, PPS Superintendent Dr. Sharon Carrot wrote, "The data is one measure of the whole child that we educate and support socially, emotionally, and physically. Peoria Public Schools has many challenges that have a heavy impact on outcomes and day-to-day progress." She goes on to say, historical racism, classism has contributed to the marginalization of most of our student population. Now, Carrot also says the Wirepoints report is counterproductive because it paints a negative picture of Peoria when there's so much more to the story. Dabrowski says it's a difficult conversation to have, but they're not trying to be negative. He says they want to make sure everybody understands how tough things are at school, so more attention can be paid to them.